Mr. O'Farrell.
Thank you, Mr. President. Colleagues, from the very beginning of this conversation, when the proposal for raising the minimum wage in Los Angeles was made back on Labor Day of last year, I have been 100% supportive of raising the minimum wage. From the very beginning, I've also called for a thoughtful, balanced approach in the dialogue that has landed us to this place today, where we are about to really make landmark legislation for the city of Los Angeles. Ladies and gentlemen, we have gotten there, but there is work to do. I also think that the dialogue, the conversations, the hearings that I called for from the very beginning took place, and we heard lots of well-informed, passionate comments from everyone, from businesses to raise the wage individuals who are part of this movement. And I listened to every single comment that was made at every single hearing, and I'm glad I did. And I want to thank everyone who participated in that process. One of the groups that we heard from loud and clear every single time was from our full-service restaurants. We know that in many instances, the profit margins are razor thin. We know that in many instances, especially during the Great Recession, several of our full-service restaurants made no profit whatsoever for years at a time. We know that that is a challenge, especially in this industry. We also know that in terms of tipped employees, that the federal government and the state government considers tips part of wages, and that restaurants pay taxes on those wages in addition to other payroll taxes, which gets them way above the current minimum as is when you calculate the payroll taxes involved. We also know that there are limitations in price elasticity in terms of what restaurants can charge on the menu items. The average customer will reach a limit in terms of what more they're willing to pay for a menu item. And anyone who has managed or owned a restaurant for any amount of time understands that principle. We also know that currently state law allows the service charge. Make no mistake about it. In some instances, perhaps it is used as a loophole, but in the overwhelming majority of instances, it is not. And I'll give you an example. One very prominent restaurateur charges a 3% service charge and applies 100% of the 3% service charge to cover health care for his employees, and he owns several restaurants. So I am supportive of exploring the service charges in terms of restaurants and how we can, or if we choose to or choose not to, impose regulations on that. But just know that in the effort to support our businesses, and especially our full-service restaurants, we need to be very, very mindful of making sure that we don't take away some of the last remaining tools that they have that are allowed by state. So I look forward to that discussion, and I look forward to that evaluation. Also, just keep in mind, 3/4 of all city employees are employed by small businesses across the board. So it's of utmost importance, as has been explained by several of our colleagues today, that we take extra precaution and care in our thoughtful way forward on that. Also, I am fully supportive of oversight against wage theft. We know that it occurs. We know the hit in the pocketbook in our working families, that it's devastating. It's a crime. I'm fully supportive of enacting measures. If we're going to enact a minimum wage in LA, we better make sure that we do it comprehensively and that we provide oversight for our employees. And just for the record, it's over half, over 50% of the employees that will receive a minimum wage increase do not live in the city of Los Angeles. They live in the county, so over half. And I still am very supportive of this, and I really am grateful for the flexibility and the open-mindedness of most of my colleagues in terms of taking a look at all of this. It's more important that we get it right than anything else, that we move forward in a balanced approach, that we help lift our families out of poverty while also making sure that what we do does not result in job loss at the same time. And lastly, and this is very, very important, and I've said this at every hearing, and I'm going to say it again, the elephant in this room is the lack of affordable housing in the city of Los Angeles. We have to tackle it. It's the biggest crisis we have, and we need to move on that, and I'm confident that we will, because all of my colleagues at this horseshoe understand that, and we are going to do affordable housing in the city of Los Angeles. Thank you.